So in this video we'll be reproducing the Atari 2600 Defender cartridge's label, which is here. This is the what I'm calling the front label, and there's also another label underneath the cartridge, which this cartridge is resting on, obviously. So let's switch to Photoshop, and this is the template for the labels, the different labels. You got the top label here and the front label here, and pretty much everything's ready to go here as far as getting ready to print this thing out. What I've done is I've added in some little alignment marks here at the corners of the two labels. Really all these are for is so that when the label's printed out, you can actually use these to actually start your cuts when you want to cut the label out from the paper that you printed on. You can use these to align either your guillotine, paper cutter, scissors, whatever you're using to cut the label out with. This will get you started cutting along these lines. So really all that needs to be done with this label is to actually put the artwork that I prepared and taken from the Defender instruction manual, and you can check out the previous videos for everything that went on involving the artwork there. So we want to take the artwork from that and place it on the label here. I've superimposed the original scan of this label over the top of the template here, so we can see, and I've reduced the opacity of the scan so that we can just kind of overlay it and just see the rough placement of where we want to put the artwork. And as you can see, it fits in right between all these text elements here, so we can just place it here when we're ready, and then once that's done, we're going to need to actually place the model number and the Atari logo over the top of the artwork that we bring in, and that should get the label finished. Now, just one other thing, if we take a look at the original scans of the of two Defender cartridges, this is the one, this lower scan here is taken from what was a boxed cartridge, so it's a little bit cleaner, but obviously as you can see, it's not perfect. And then this cartridge scan here was taken from a loose cartridge in my collection. As you can see, it's in really bad shape, the image that we're going to be working with. So really neither one of these could be used to actually produce a decent label. But the reason I'm showing these is that there are subtle differences in these two cartridges. The text is basically the same above and below the artwork, but if you look closely at the artwork itself, you'll see that the model number in this label is slightly different from the model number in this label, in that this label doesn't have a black outline around the model number text there, which is interesting. And also another subtle difference is the background artwork here is a little bit shifted up in this version versus this version. And you'll notice that this little spaceship here has a little bit of a gap between the edge of the ship and the top of the label. And if we look at this version here, the ship is actually slightly off the top of the image, and more detail is visible down the bottom here versus this version here. It's very subtle, not much, but there is a difference, which is interesting. So I think what we'll do is try to emulate this image here as far as the placement of the cover art, and see how that goes. So we'll want a little bit of a gap above the ship, although I think probably if we take a look at the scan of the cover art, there really isn't that much of a gap, so maybe our placement's going to be less like this version here and more like that version there. Yeah, let's see how this goes. So really all we need to do on the template is put the artwork in place here. And so let me grab the artwork. Let me get rid of the image for now, the overlay of the original scan of the label. Let's jump back to this artwork. We'll grab it, select it, and then just copy it over. So I'm going to go copy and then just paste it into our template here. And paste, and as you can see, it's massive because it's it was taken from an actual instruction manual rather than a cartridge. So we're going to have to size it down a little bit. And as you can see, what I've done here is I've made a little window, effectively, of which corresponds to the size of the image in the original cartridge. So we need to size the background artwork to about this size here, and see how that goes. So I'll select the layer and then just we'll just size it down using the sizing tools here. We've got different types of tools. We can rotate the image, we can as well as size it. Now there's a couple of different ways to size it. We can actually size it not in proportion vertically and horizontally, but what we want to do is we want to maintain the proportions of once we're sizing it. So I'm going to hold down my Shift key and size it, and it will size it proportionally. And yeah, we just want to take it down, and then I'll let go, and then we can just kind of play with the positioning here. So we want as much as the top ship part of it visible, and then we want to stretch it down. Let me hide the background label for now, so that we can get a better idea of the. Oh, he won't let me hide it until I've sized it. So, okay, let's just continue sizing then. So let's just size it up a little bit, and yeah, I'll make it a little bit bigger than I think I'll need. Let me go up a little bit more, and then we'll see how that looks. There we go. So I think that's about right there. If we say OK to that, it's just going to finalize the size, and yeah, it looks pretty good. I think that will work. We've got all of the ship in the top there, and we've got actually a lot more detail than what was in the original label scan. If we overlay that, you can see that this lady's hand is kind of cut off there, and if we go to our new image, we've got a lot more of the artwork in place, and you can actually see this lady here, who was actually missing from the original. You wouldn't know that was someone else down the bottom there. So I think we're ending up with a much more complete version of the artist's artwork. So I think we'll run with that. Let me get rid of the scan here. So we'll end up with that basically, and I think everything is in. Let me just move this scanned version above the artwork itself. We can kind of bounce back and forward between the two. So that's the original scan overlaid and slightly the opacity reduced on it, and then we can just kind of toggle back and forward. And yeah, I think it looks pretty pretty good. The ship's in the same place, and we're getting more detail overall. So really, all that's left to do is to actually overlay the model number here, and also the Atari logo that is in white. And fortunately, those are this can be made up using the Atari font, the Mumbo SSK font down here, and I think I've actually got one of those ready to go here. Yeah, here it is. So this is the, let me get rid of the original scan, and there, and then down here I've got a layer already produced I can put in, and let me drag it up so that it's over the top of, or in front of the little scan that we got here, and there it is. So let's check the placement of this. Now what I did, just to kind of back up a little bit here, was I took the original Atari font here and put in the model number, and the font on its own is just white. So fortunately, Photoshop has a lot of different special effects that you can do, and one of the effects is actually to put a border around whatever text you add into Photoshop, and that's what's going on here. So put a little bit of a border in, and as you can see, it mimics what's in the original. So it's CX 2609, and yeah, there we go. Now let's just check the placement just to make sure it's accurate. And so this is the original scan, and as you can see, yeah, we're pretty much spot on there. Let me just zoom in just to make sure. Yeah, not too bad. It's a few pixels off here and there. I think we can come up a little bit maybe. So let me just bring it up slightly, up and over. There we go. That's a little bit better. So let's compare the two now. Yeah, that's pretty spot on. As you can see, the new text that's in place is nice and bright and clean. And yeah, so I think that looks pretty good. Let me save that before we go any further. And then really all we need to do now is just add in the Atari logo, which is here, and that just happens to be a white logo with a transparent background. So let's, I think I've got one of those already downloaded, so let's jump to that. Let me go to, yeah, actually I think I've already put that in the template, so let's have a look here. I think I've already got a white Atari logo. Yeah, I've also got a black one here, so I've already done that work. So let's introduce the white logo. Let me move it up so that it's above the artwork layer here, and then we can just make it visible. As you can see, it's way too big, so we have to size that one down as well. Let me bring back the original artwork there, and then what we can do is take this logo and give it a little bit of a sizing. So we'll grab that, put it roughly generally down in this area so that we can compare them side by side, and then just we'll do a little bit of a size of this, get it in the ballpark here. Yeah, it needs to go a little bit smaller. We'll just overlay them in a sec. It needs to go down a little bit more. And let's zoom in on that and see how well they line up. That's pretty close. A few more pixels smaller, I think. Yeah, we're only kind of interested in the white area right now, since I think what we're going to do is introduce a black border into the new logo here. So that's ultimately what we want here, is we want the black border around the outside here. And yeah, let's just jump back here. So I think we're there as far as the size goes. Maybe it's a little bit too big. Let me go down a little bit smaller. Trying to concentrate on the white areas rather than the black, which we're going to add in. Yeah, it needs to go down a little bit more. In fact, it might need to go down quite a bit. It doesn't seem to be scaling quite as accurately. Yeah, we've kind of blown it there. So let me make it bigger. Okay, well, I think that's about as close as we're going to get without messing around a lot. Let me try to get the width a little bit better. And the little registration text here is a little bit on the small side. Just going to stretch it over horizontally a little bit. Okay, well, that's pretty close. We're zoomed in pretty good here. So I think what we'll do is we'll run with that. Let's confirm the change. Let's get rid of the overlay, and then we're left with that, which let's compare it with the original. Yeah, it's not too bad. I think our widths on the fonts are a little bit off, but I'm not going to sweat it. So let's, what we'll do is we'll apply the same outline that we have here, the black outline, to this layer. So what we'll do is take the effects from this layer and apply it to the Atari white logo there. So what I can do is right click there, copy layer style, and then just paste it onto this one. And then we can, we'll end up with a nice border around that, and I think that looks pretty nice, actually pretty clean looking. The only thing that kind of looks off is this registered circle here, and yeah, I'm not too happy with that. It's a little bit on the small side, which makes the actual the actual outline much more prominent than it should be. So I think what I'm going to do there is, well, let me see if I've got any, yeah, I don't have any registration circles there, or registered, I should say. So I think what we'll do is actually take this one, put it in a separate layer, and then give it a slightly less of a outline, black outline. That'll make it not quite as messed up looking there. So let me duplicate this layer. So what I'll do is right click, duplicate it, and so we've basically got two now. And on this original one, what I'll do is I'll get rid of this. So we'll jump down to that, and then just go ahead and delete that part of the logo. So let me just select that as much as possible, delete it, and I think that's good. And then what we do want to do with this other layer is obviously take it and get rid of the Atari part of it. So let me get rid of that. And there we go. Delete that. I think that got it all. And then we'll move this other one back into place here. And then just size down the actual outline, or as it's called in Photoshop, they call it stroke, the stroke of the object, but it's kind of an outliney thing. Let's bring up the original scan so we can get the positioning roughly generally correct. And it's going to end up being a little bit smaller. So we'll just put it about there. Oops, about there. Let me nudge it up a bit. There we go. About there, and we will reduce the size of the stroke or the outline. Double click the stroke settings here, and then just scale those down a little bit. I think that looks about right. 2 pixel outline. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Let's get rid of the original scan. and get rid of the controls so we can see it. I think that looks rather good. Yeah. So I think that does it for this this label. I think that's good enough to print, and it's certainly a big improvement. You've got a lot more clarity here. You've got a lot more detail in the artwork versus the versus the original here, which yeah, it's kind of a little bit set down. Like I said earlier, it's you see a lot more space above the ship, so we got a lot more of the detail that's below this point in the artwork. So I think overall it's not bad. I think that would make a good printout, and yeah, looks good to me. Let me just double check the number just to make doubly sure. 2609. So 2609 in the Atari font. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So what I'll do next is we'll take this artwork here. Let me just save it before I forget. We'll take that and throw it onto a piece of paper in InDesign. Let me fire up InDesign. And we'll take that, throw it in, and make a PDF out of it so that it can be printed easily and scaled. Is that with the at the correct scale? So I think I have it already saved here. I think this might be it here. Template 2600. Yeah, I think it's this one. Yeah, there we go. So there's an earlier template, an earlier image that I did there. So let me replace that. I was playing with the just making sure everything printed out to the right scale, and everything did. So yeah, I think we're good to actually insert this in now. So let me get that and relink it. Grab the template that I did in Photoshop. Come here, go to labels, and then we go to Defender. We've got a couple of templates here. Let's see, that's let's make sure I got the right one. There we go, that's done today. And yeah, I've actually made some adjustments just to make sure that I've got the measurements of the label just right, and I think they're pretty spot on, down to the pixel. So let's put this one in, and there it is. And that's the artwork we just did over in Photoshop, and it looks like it's yeah, ready to go here. So let me save this. I'll just save it as is. I might rename it to put up on the site. And yeah, let me just make sure all the. Get one last look over here. Looks good to me. And then I'll just give it today's date here, which let's see, it's after midnight. So what do we got here? June 13th. So that's 06. 13. And that should do it. This is version 1. There could be updates that I do here if I find something's not quite good, but I think we're there. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's any showstoppers here. But yeah, if you spot something, let me know. But I think it's pretty good. So what I'll do next is I'll make a PDF out of this and throw it up onto the website. Got a nice little spot for it there, so I'll put the Defender label there, version 1, and as a PDF document. And that way, when you download it, if you need a replacement label, if you've got a bad label on your Defender, you can just download it, print it as a let me just fit it in the window here. Yeah, it's a single sheet, 8.5 by 11, with the the actual label centered mostly, and then a little bit of versioning down the bottom here. And like I say, if this changes, I will adjust this and put it up on the site, a newer version. But I think it looks pretty good. So I'll just make a PDF out of that and throw it up on the website. And now that we have a template here, this artwork can be easily edited and changed so that when we pull up actually work on other games, we can actually just easily change titles, change the artwork, and away you go. And as you can see, I got quite a few in the works here. And I think now that we got the template all set and it looks good and it prints good, I can start turning these other titles out. And these are all, as you can see, I got some silver labels here. But I'll be doing this style first and then moving on to the silver labels, then from the silver labels onto other designs. But at least for now, I'll be working on this style here, the Atari picture type label, and of which I have quite a few. Here's some top scans of the top label. So I will save this out as a PDF and put it up on the site. And in the next days and weeks, I'll be working on the other designs here. Now that the template's finished, it shouldn't take too long to start churning these things out. So yeah, stay tuned. Thanks.